Good morning and welcome. My name is David Sparrow. I'm a member of the board at the Unitarian Universal Church of Reston. Whether you're on Zoom or here in the sanctuary, we are so glad you are with us this morning. No matter how old or young you are, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, however you identify, whomever you love, know you are welcome here. Music director Cynthia Young is also off today, but she did plan the music for today's service. We are pleased to have Michael Albrow, a member of the church choir, who has graciously agreed to serve as our hymn leader for today's services. Thanks, Mike. We are also pleased to have as our guest pianist, Meagan Pitluck-Schmitt, a member of the church who seems to do a bit of everything for our community. Thank you for playing for us today. I have several announcements. The first one will be delivered by Reverend Aileen.
So next Sunday, we're doing The Joy of Play. And so I want from you this week, what is play for you? Is it games, board games? What games remind you of summer? Outdoor games, indoor games, card games, tabletop, board games? Send me what you consider play. And so then we'll have a very fun interactive service next week.
A few more announcements. After the service today, Reverend Aileen will talk about the General Assembly, what decisions were made, what they mean for us both as a denomination and as a congregation. All who are interested are invited to attend. Next, Reston CUPS will have a Linguasa Community Fest and Revel on Saturday, August 3rd in the sanctuary. All are welcome to attend as we celebrate the first harvest festival of summer with ritual, barrack circle, food, and games. The event is scheduled to run from 6 to 9 in the evening. Look for details on July 18th of the Reston Connection edition of the Reston, and chat with Kathy Deleganis after the service today. Next, UUCR will be publishing a new member and friend picture directory at the end of this month. If any of you have information that has changed and you would like it updated, please contact Kathy Deleganis again. Also, if you are not currently listed in the directory but would like to be included as a friend of UUCR, please contact Kathy as well. She will be available after the service and for the next few Sundays to take pictures for the directory, if you would like an updated one. And lastly, the next issue of the UUCR Connection, our e-blast newsletter, is scheduled for August 8th. If you have any news that you want to be shared in that edition, please send it to our office manager on or before the 6th of August. Now let us center ourselves for worship. Take some deep quieting breaths with me, and let us enter our time of worship together as we join this morning's prelude. Our opening words this morning are by Chris Cervantes.
Rest in the peace of this moment. Rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment. Be at ease. Look up at the stars. Look down at the grass. Imagine the stars looking back at you over years and centuries, across oceans of empty space. Imagine the feel of the grass on your bare feet and feel it dry and crunchy, soft and subtle. Rest now, rest in the peace of this moment. Dream for a little while of young people and young animals, innocent in the way of the young, careless and uncaring, accepting everything in its newness. Dream for a little while of the elders and the wisdom they have to give, the voices that say to you, it is right and proper to rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment. Be still. At the turning axis of the world and let go. Of the long unspooling of history, of sorrow and joy and birth and death and all the long years in between. Rest now. Rest in the peace of this moment.
Good morning. Good morning. Our opening hymn is number 16 in the Grey Hymnal. "'Tis a Gift to be Simple." You'll find it in the Grey Hymnal on the order of service or on the Zoom chat. Please rise as you're willing and able and sing. To be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained, in whom and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be, and when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight, when true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed, to turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right.
Today's words for the chalice opening are by Linda Hart, "A Moment of Rest from Our Journeys." Here, we come to find a moment of refreshment and rest from our journeys. No matter where you are going on your journey, no matter if it's your choice to go, no matter if you carry a burden or the deepest of joys, no matter how weary and thirsty you may be. Pause here. Take a quiet breath. Rest in peacefulness. Be renewed and restored. For in a short while, the journey will continue with its worries and troubles and joys and promise. Until then, let us join together, minds and hearts, and worship and light the chalice.
We now sing "Love is the Spirit of this Church." The words will be projected on the screen.
Good morning. Now is the time for all ages, so if you're here and feeling young of body and would like to sit on the floor, you're invited to come forward now. And welcome. Welcome. Our story today is a classic tale from Brazil, as found on a blog site by Paulo Coelho. Once, there was a business person sitting on the beach near a Brazilian village. The business person looked out and saw a fisherman rowing a boat coming towards shore, and the boat was filled with fish. The businessman was impressed and looked at the fisherman and asked, "How long did it take you to catch all those fish this morning?" And the fisherman said, "Just a short time." Well, the business person said, "Well, why don't you stay at sea longer and catch even more fish?" The fisherman said, "This is all I need for my family. This is plenty." The business person asked, "Well, what do you do the rest of the day?" And the fisherman said, "I get up early in the morning, I go fish, catch a few fish, come home, play with my children. In the afternoon, I take a nap. And in the evening, I go out with my friends and sing and dance and play guitar." Well, the business person said, "I have a PhD in business management. I can advise you, and you can become a much more successful person. From now on, you need to stay at sea longer and catch all the fish you can catch. And then you'll make enough money to get more boats and catch even more fish." The fisherman looked at the business person and said, "What then?" The business person said, "Then you can become wealthy enough to set up a manufacturer to can those fish and a distribution system to sell those fish to the stores, and you can buy a big house and put this money, get on the stock exchange and become really, really wealthy and live like a king." Well, the fisherman looked at the business person and asked, "What then?" And the business person said, "After you've worked a while, you can retire, go to a fishing village, fish in the morning, play with your children, take a nap in the afternoon, and in the evening, go out with your friends, play the guitar, sing and dance." Well, the fisherman looked at the business person with a confused face, kind of like some of the faces I see up here, and asked, "Isn't that what I'm doing right now?" Well, I wonder what this story might mean for each one of us. And I think we'll probably be talking more about that during the sermon and in religious education. Now, anyone who is in 12th grade or younger who would like to join us may go now for religious education. We'll sing you out with "Go with Joy."
It is now the time in our service when we share our joys and concerns so that no one ever has to hold them alone. If you are joining us remotely this morning, you may wish to light a real or virtual candle wherever you are to mark what is in your heart. Be one in prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love that so faithfully animates our creation. We are grateful for this community that is with us in times of both joy and sorrow. We hold in our hearts this morning all who are facing any hardship or difficulty, those who are grieving or facing illness or disability in themselves, their friends, or their loved ones. In particular this morning, we hold in our hearts and prayers all those suffering from war and violence. For them, we light this candle. Let us take a moment of silence.
As a self-funded church, UUCR relies on the generosity of its members and friends to fund daily operations and to ensure that the church and its resources are here for us and others, now and in the future. Pledges support for our worship and music programs, our religious education program, programs for members and friends, community outreach, and connections to Unitarian Universalism. We now invite you to support the work of UU Reston by making your donations into the collection plate if you are here in the sanctuary or at a link on the slide in the open chat box. Thank you for your generosity, support for our beloved spiritual home. Thank you, Meagan. When I began my first job post-college back in the mid-1980s, we did not have computers.
Much of the technical data collection work that we did was done on mechanical devices. We had no emails, no cell phones. When I left work, I really left work. Unless I gave it to them or they checked the personnel records, no one from work even had my landline phone number. Granted, I was an entry-level worker and I was not responsible for a lot of crucial work, but when I went home at night, I left it all behind. And when I went on vacation, I went on vacation. Again, unless I told my coworkers where I was going, they had no way of reaching me. I could lie in the sun on some sunny beach somewhere and know that I did not have to think about work until I got back. There would be no 100 emails waiting for me when I got back to catch up on. If anyone needed something, they could stop by my desk when I got back. I could literally turn off my work brain when I left the building. And you know what? Nobody cared. It was just the culture. There are so many reasons that phones and emails are useful and now necessary ways that we navigate our world. But they have become sometimes unrelenting taskmasters. I'm not against technology, all right, some, but it has not delivered on the promise of more leisure. There was this utopian dream in the early 20th century that labor-saving devices and new technologies would allow people more time for rest. We would decrease our work week and have more time for leisure. The union slogan of that period that they were fighting for was 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, and 8 hours for what we will. The what we will was never spelled out, but it meant time for hobbies, families, participation in religious or civic organizations. But that leisure promised by early technologies never materialized. Theories of maximum efficiency in all areas of work, not just factories, arose with those new technologies, expecting humans to work not at a human pace, but at the pace of faster and faster technologies that did not factor in the human necessity to rest, or even sometimes to go to the bathroom. Even office workers now are surveilled by technologies that monitor their time spent on their computers for maximum worker productivity. And many employers expect that their employees will be available through their devices even when they are not at work, even when they are on vacation. To be connected, to be available all the time is now the expectation. So even when we are supposed to be resting, there is a specter of work lurking in the background. Many people have no time off at all, working multiple jobs, none of which offers health benefits or any kind of paid leave, so they can't afford not to work. We as a collective whole have less time for rest and almost no time for what we will. It is not a coincidence that civic, religious, and leisure, a la Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone, participation has waned, and volunteerism in all groups, regardless of age and education levels, has dropped dramatically over the past decade. Many people feel they are struggling to survive their own lives, much less helping out others. In a word, we are exhausted. There was a Jewish couple that lived in the intentional community where I used to live. I would see them walking slowly hand in hand of a Saturday afternoon, indulging in the practice of Sabbath. They took rest very seriously, and I was jealous. Many of the world's religious traditions take seriously the practice of rest. In the Abrahamic faith, Sabbath is built into the rhythm of the week, though many forget or ignore this practice. And if we read the scriptures, we see that this practice is more than putting aside time for worship of the divine. It is mandated time to rest, and not just the privileged, everyone, slaves, servants, foreigners, strangers, even animals, because someone somewhere knew that we needed rest, that indeed rest was sacred and holy and absolutely necessary for us to live creative, innovative lives of imagination and thriving, where we would have time for what we will. My friend, who is part of a dream group I participated in, said that she has not been dreaming lately. She has not been sleeping well, she tells me, because her REM sleep keeps getting interrupted. REM sleep is the period of sleep when we are most likely to dream. And REM sleep, researchers tell us, also plays a role not just in our dreams, but in memory consolidation, emotional processing, and brain development. It is no wonder she has been feeling off. The writer, activist, artist, and theologian Patricia Hersey started what she calls nap ministry. It started out as a kind of performance piece. She advertised in her Atlanta neighborhood for people to come by and nap. She created a space where the lights were turned down, sleep music was curated and played, and all the participants were required to do was sleep. These nap sessions became so popular that she has done them all over the country. Her motivation as the descendant of an enslaved person is to realize that rest is a justice issue. Some people, both in the past and today, are not considered worthy of rest. That our economic system requires that productivity and the bottom line are all that is necessary, and those things form the basis of our ethical ideas of rest. The philosopher and ethicist Michael Sandel wrote in his book, What Money Can't Buy, what we have done is gone from having a market economy to becoming a market society in which everything is for sale and we are cogs in this endless cycle of production and consumption. We internalize this ethic so much so that, writes Hersey, we become rigid and impatient when our checklists aren't completed to perfection. We become less and less secure. We become less human. We believe we are only meant to survive and not thrive. We see care as unnecessary and unimportant. We believe we don't really need to rest. And Hersey doesn't imagine rest as simply a superficial means to rejuvenate ourselves to jump back into that world of endless productivity, but rather a place to reimagine a different kind of world in which rest and care are integral to our surviving. She writes, rest makes us more human. It brings us back to our humanness. She continues, I believe that the powers that be don't want us rested because that they know if we rest enough, we're going to figure out what's really happening and overturn the entire system. The writer Jenny Odell, in her book, How to Do Nothing, asked us to imagine the world differently. She asked the question, why is it that the modern idea of productivity is often a frame for what is actually the destruction of ecosystems? I think that this is a really good question. What if we realize that what we think of production is really destruction? Not just of ecosystems, but of individuals and communities. What if our grind culture is simply a path toward our own destruction? Odell writes, the point of doing nothing, as I define it, isn't to return to work refreshed and ready to be more productive, but to rather question what we currently perceive as productive. A culture that tells us that our worthiness is tied to what we produce, that we need to strive to survive, that if we as individuals are not perfect cogs in the machine, we are not worthy. And when culture focuses so much on the individual and not more on community, according to sociologist Harry Triandis, we begin to value achievement over affiliation. We devalue and forget to make time for the what we will that holds community care and participation as integral values that hold together society. And so periodically we must stop. We must rest. We must ask ourselves, is this what we really want? Is this who we really are? In our Time for All Ages story this morning, we see that fisherman, a person who prioritizes rest and builds it into his days. When given the opportunity to jump into the larger system of commerce, of which the end goal is what he already has, he declines. He is not willing to sacrifice his rest and his what you will. They are too important to him. Rest is not a luxury. It is a necessity for everyone. It allows us the chance to dream, to imagine and to reimagine the world we want to live in. Writes Hersey, this imagination work allows individuals to see what is possible. It helps us to distinguish between what systems want from us and what our spirits and bodies know to be true. I took a couple of weeks of vacation at the beginning of July, and even I find it hard not to check my email, as many of you know. But I try and take my own advice. I try and take rest seriously. I went camping and hiking in the Shenandoah Mountains as part of that vacation. At a campground off Skyline Drive, where they warned us there would be no Wi-Fi or cell service. The campground had an emergency landline on the property for emergencies. I turned off my phone and kept it in the glove compartment of my car. I didn't, of course, bring my computer. There would have been no point. Sometimes I have to force myself into situations where rest is inevitable, and it was wonderful. I have found that rest takes many forms. For me, climbing steep, rocky inclines, I found, was not necessarily restful because I have knee issues. But for others in my group, it was. It was how they clear their heads and find peace. It really doesn't matter what form of rest you take, though getting a healthy amount of sleep as a foundation is always good. It just matters that you take time to do what makes your mind, your heart, and your body feel rested, feel refreshed, and that you allow for plenty of time for imagination, dreaming, and introspection, because rest is a radical act of rebellion and resistance. May you find rest. May you be able to step off sometime and find time to dream. Amen, and blessed be.
Our closing hymn is number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. The words are in the order of service and in the chat. We'll sing verses 1, 2, and 4. Please rise as you are willing and able. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We delicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Verse 4, we seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Our benediction this morning is by Becca Reynolds. May love permeate your every heartbeat. May faith guide your every step. May truth and compassion be your eternal traveling companions. And may a deep, abiding spirit rest joyously in your every waking wish and your every resting dream.
Doesn't work. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope and truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I have to talk and then light, or distinguish.